You won't believe how Maya's accidental sexy foe to Korean. Mafia boss by mistake, mysterious CEO who owns half the city and has a family history tied to organized crime. Stick around to find out if this is a workplace romance disaster waiting to happen or the dangerous love story she never saw coming. Maya Thompson's finger hovered over the send button, her heart racing as she stared at the mirror selfie on her phone screen. The black lace bodysuit hugged her curves perfectly, and the dim lighting of her bedroom created just the right amount of shadow and mystery. Her best friend Jada had spent the last 20 minutes hyping her up over FaceTime, and now there was no backing out. "Girl, Marcus is going to lose his mind when he sees this," Jada's voice crackled through the speaker. "Send it already before you chicken out." Maya laughed nervously, her thumb moving toward the contact labeled Marcus Coffee Guy. They'd been flirting for 3 weeks, ever since they'd met at that networking event downtown. He was charming, successful, and had been asking her out repeatedly. Tonight felt like the perfect time to turn up the heat. Okay, I'm doing it," Maya said, her Georgia accent thickening with nerves. She typed out a quick message. "Can't stop thinking about our date this weekend," followed by a winking emoji. Her finger tapped the send button before she could second-guess herself. The swoosh sound confirmed the message had gone through. "There, done. Oh my God, I can't believe I just did that," Maya squealed, flopping backward onto her bed. Her dark curls splayed across the white pillows as she covered her face with her hands. "You're a whole vibe, sis. Marcus better recognize," Jada said with a laugh. "Now put your phone down and stop obsessing over whether he's seen it yet." Maya agreed and said her goodbyes, but the moment she hung up, she grabbed her phone again. The anticipation was killing her. She opened her messages to see if Marcus had viewed the photo yet. Her blood ran cold. The message thread at the top of her screen wasn't Marcus. It was Mr. Kim, landlord. No. Maya shot upright, her hands shaking as she stared at the screen. The message had been delivered. Read receipts showed it had been opened 30 seconds ago. She'd sent her sexy photo to the potential landlord her real estate agent had connected her with last week. The mysterious Korean businessman who owned half the commercial properties in downtown Atlanta. The man she was supposed to have a professional meeting with next Tuesday to discuss leasing office space for her growing marketing firm. Maya's mind raced through every worst-case scenario. Would he think she was unprofessional? Would he refuse to rent to her? Was this sexual harassment? Could she be sued? Her career could be over before it really began. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "OMG, I am so sorry. Wrong person. Please delete that immediately. This is so embarrassing." She hit send and waited, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 5. No response. Maya called Jada back, her voice climbing to a panicked pitch. "Jada, Jada, I sent it to the wrong person." "What? How? Girl, what are you talking about?" "The photo, I sent it to Mr. Kim, the landlord, the one with all the commercial properties." Maya was packing now, her bare feet padding against the hardwood floor of her apartment. Jada's laughter exploded through the phone. "You did not. Maya, how did you even manage that?" "I don't know. His contact was right above Marcus's. I must have tapped the wrong one." Maya grabbed her laptop from her desk and frantically typed Kim Enterprises Atlanta into Google. "Oh God, Jada, I need to know who this man is." The search results loaded, and Maya's stomach dropped further. The first result was a sleek, minimalist website for Kim Enterprises, featuring a professionally shot photo of the company's CEO. Jin Kim. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, and hit the like button. That way, you'll be notified whenever we share a new story. Your comments also help us understand what interests you most. Kim was devastatingly handsome, probably in his early 30s, with sharp cheekbones, intense dark eyes, and perfectly styled black hair. He wore an expensive charcoal suit, and had an expression that suggested he didn't smile often. "He's gorgeous," Maya whispered, clicking through more images. Every photo showed the same serious, almost intimidating demeanor. There were pictures of him at charity galas, cutting ribbons at building openings, and shaking hands with city officials. "Let me see," Jada demanded. Maya switched to FaceTime and showed her the website. "Damn girl, you accidentally sent a thirst trap to a whole CEO. That's next level embarrassing, but also, look at him. He should be thanking you." "This isn't funny, Jada. What if he thinks I'm some kind of creep? What if he tells other property owners and I get blacklisted?" Maya scrolled further down the search results, and her anxiety spiked when she saw several news articles with vague headlines. Kim Enterprises faces questions about business practices, and local businessman's mysterious rise to power. She clicked on one article, but it was frustratingly vague, mentioning alleged connections to underground business operations, without providing any real details. The comments section was more illuminating, though, with locals speculating about Jin Kim's family ties and how no one builds an empire that fast without some shady dealings. "Okay, that's a little scary," Jada admitted, reading over Maya's shoulder through the screen. "But it's probably just rumors. Rich people always get accused of stuff." Maya checked her phone again. Still no response from Mr. Kim. The read receipt taunted her from the screen. "Maybe he's just going to pretend it never happened," Maya said hopefully. "Maybe he deleted it and we'll just never speak of this at our meeting on Tuesday. I can be professional. I can totally pretend this never happened." "Girl, you're spiraling. Just go to bed. It's almost midnight. Things will look better in the morning." Maya doubted that, but she agreed anyway. After another 20 minutes of catastrophizing, she finally plugged in her phone, turned off the lights, and crawled under her covers. Sleep didn't come easily. Every time she closed her eyes, she imagined walking into that meeting on Tuesday and seeing Mr. Kim's judgmental face staring back at her. When she finally drifted off around 2 in the morning, her dreams were a confusing mixture of embarrassment and strange encounters with the handsome stranger from the photos. The next morning, Maya woke to sunlight streaming through her bedroom curtains. For a blissful moment, she'd forgotten about the previous night's disaster. Then it all came rushing back, and she groaned, pulling a pillow over her face. Her phone showed 7:15 a.m., still no response from Mr. Kim. Maybe Jada was right. Maybe he was just going to ignore it. Maya could live with that. Awkward silence was better than confrontation. She dragged herself out of bed, pulled on her fuzzy robe, and shuffled to the kitchen to start her morning coffee routine. Her apartment was small but cozy, filled with plants, colorful artwork, and the kind of organized chaos that came from running your own business. Marketing materials and client proposals covered half her dining table. The coffee maker gurgled to life, filling her apartment with that rich, dark aroma that made early mornings bearable. Maya was scrolling through Instagram, trying to distract herself from her shame, when her doorbell rang. She frowned. It was 7:30 on a Saturday morning. Nobody visited this early unless it was an emergency. Maybe it was her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who sometimes needed help with her groceries. Maya padded to the door, coffee mug in hand, and opened it without checking the peephole. Her breath caught in her throat. Jin Kim stood in her doorway, looking exactly like his photos but somehow more intimidating in person. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit that probably cost more than her rent, and his dark eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her want to slam the door and hide. In his hand, he held her phone, the familiar pink case unmistakable. "Ms. Thompson," he said, his voice smooth with a slight accent. "You dropped this yesterday at my coffee shop downtown. I thought I should return it personally." Maya's mind went completely blank. She was acutely aware that she was standing in her doorway wearing nothing but a thin robe, her natural hair in a messy bun, no makeup, holding a coffee mug that said "Slay all day" in glittery letters. This could not be happening. What? How did you?" she stammered, her Georgia accent coming out in full force when she was flustered. Jin's lips curved into the slightest hint of a smile, the first break in his serious expression. "You were at Elevation Coffee yesterday around noon. The barista found your phone behind the counter and brought it to me. I own the establishment." Of course he did. Maya vaguely remembered stopping for an iced latte during her lunch break, rushing to get back to a client meeting. She must have left her phone on the counter. "Oh, thank you, that's really kind of you to bring it all the way here." She reached for the phone, but Jin didn't immediately hand it over. "About your message last night," he said, and Maya wanted the ground to open up and swallow her whole. "Please, can we just forget that ever happened? I'm so embarrassed. It was meant for someone else, obviously, and I would never." "I was flattered," Jin interrupted, his dark eyes never leaving hers. "It's not often that someone surprises me anymore, Ms. Thompson. Most people who contact me are very calculated. Your mistake was refreshingly genuine." Maya didn't know whether to be relieved or more mortified. "I promise I'm very professional. Tuesday's meeting, I'll be completely." "I know you're professional. I looked into your work after I received your message." Jin finally handed her the phone. "Your marketing firm has an impressive portfolio for only being 2 years old. The campaign you ran for Stellar Tech increased their social media engagement by 300%. You researched me?" Maya asked, unsure whether that was creepy or flattering. "Anyone who contacts me gets vetted, Ms. Thompson. It's standard practice in my business." There was something in the way he said "my business" that made Maya remember those vague news articles about alleged shady dealings. "Right, well, thank you for returning my phone, Mr. Kim. I really appreciate it." She started to close the door, desperate to end this mortifying encounter. "The property you're interested in," Jin said, stopping her. "Would you like to see it today instead of waiting until Tuesday?" Maya blinked. "Today it's Saturday morning." "I'm aware, but I'm free this afternoon, and I suspect you'd prefer to get our first face-to-face meeting over with after last night's incident." That tiny smile appeared again, and Maya realized he was actually amused by this whole situation. She should say no. She should maintain professional boundaries and stick to the scheduled Tuesday appointment. But something about the way he looked at her, like she was a puzzle he wanted to figure out, made her curious. "Okay," she heard herself say. "What time?" "I'll pick you up at 2, wear something comfortable." Jin turned to leave, then paused. "And Ms. Thompson, for what it's worth, you have nothing to be embarrassed about. It was a very nice photo." He walked away before Maya could respond, leaving her standing in her doorway, clutching her phone and coffee mug, wondering what the hell had just happened. She closed the door and immediately called Jada. "Girl, you will not believe who just showed up at my apartment." The next few hours passed in a blur of nervous energy. Maya changed outfits 4 times before settling on high-waisted jeans, a cream silk blouse, and ankle boots. Professional but casual. Comfortable like he'd suggested, but still put together enough to show she took this seriously. Jada had screamed so loud when Maya told her about Jin's visit that Maya had to hold the phone away from her ear. "He came to your house at 7:30 in the morning. Maya, that man is interested. Nobody drives across town to return a phone to someone they just think of as a potential tenant." "He said he was being professional," Maya argued, applying mascara in her bathroom mirror. "Professional my ass. He could have mailed your phone or had an assistant drop it off. He wanted to see you in person, and now he's picking you up for a property tour. Girl, this is a date disguised as business." "It's not a date. I need this office space, Jada. My client list is growing and I can't keep working from my apartment. This is purely professional." But even as she said it, Maya couldn't stop thinking about the way Jin had looked at her, or the way his voice had dropped when he'd said her photo was nice. There had been something there, something that made her stomach flutter in a way that had nothing to do with embarrassment. At exactly 2 o'clock, her doorbell rang again. Maya grabbed her purse, checked her reflection one more time, and opened the door. Jin had changed into dark slacks and a black button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing surprisingly muscular forearms. He looked less intimidating than this morning, but somehow even more attractive. A black Mercedes SUV idled at the curb, and Maya could see someone in the driver's seat. "Ready?" Jin asked. Maya nodded, locking her door behind her. As they walked to the car, she noticed how Jin's hand hovered near the small of her back without quite touching her, a gesture that was both protective and respectful. The driver was an older Korean man with a stern expression and a build that suggested he spent a lot of time at the gym. Jin introduced him as Mr. Park, but didn't elaborate on his role beyond colleague. The drive to the property took about 15 minutes, during which Jin asked Maya about her business goals, her ideal client profile, and her growth projections. It was all very professional, and Maya started to relax. Maybe this really was just a business meeting. The property was in a newly renovated building in the heart of downtown, exactly where Maya wanted to be. The ground floor had a trendy coffee shop and a boutique fitness studio. Jin led her to the third floor, where a corner unit with floor-to-ceiling windows awaited. Maya fell in love immediately. "It's perfect," she breathed, walking through the open-concept space. The light was incredible, and the layout was exactly what she'd envisioned for her team. She could see her designers working at the long table near the windows, her office in the corner, a creative brainstorming area with comfortable chairs and a whiteboard wall. "Square footage is 1,800 feet, Jin said, watching her reaction. "Includes a small kitchen area, 2 bathrooms, and access to the rooftop terrace that all third-floor tenants share." "What's the rate?" Maya asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Prime downtown spaces like this usually ran well above her budget. Jin named a figure that made Maya's head snap toward him. That's about 30% below market rate for this area. "I'm offering you a special rate. Consider it an apology for any distress my delayed response to your message may have caused." "Mr. Kim, I can't accept that. It wouldn't be right." "Jin," he corrected. "Call me Jin. And you can accept it, Ms. Thompson. I own the building outright. I can charge whatever I want." They stood there, facing each other in the empty office space, and Maya felt the air between them shift. This wasn't just about real estate anymore, if it ever had been. "Maya," she said quietly, "if I'm calling you Jin, you should call me Maya." His expression softened almost imperceptibly. "Maya," he repeated, her name sounding different in his accented English. "Would you like to discuss the lease terms over coffee? There's a cafe downstairs." She should say yes. They should keep this professional, sign the papers, maintain appropriate boundaries. But something reckless inside her, the same part that had taken that photo last night, wanted to push a little further. "What about dinner instead?" The words were out before she could stop them. Jin raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "Dinner? Unless that's inappropriate, I just thought. We both have to eat, and there's a lot to discuss about the lease and—" Maya trailed off, suddenly aware she was rambling. "Dinner sounds perfect," Jin said, cutting off her nervous explanation. "I know a place, Korean food. Do you like Korean food?" "I've had bibimbap a few times, and I love kimchi." Jin's smile was genuine this time, transforming his entire face. "Then I know exactly where to take you. We'll go tonight if you're free." "I'm free," Maya said, her heart beating faster. "Good, I'll pick you up at 7. As they rode back to her apartment, Maya texted Jada, "So, I think I have a dinner date with the landlord. Help." Jada's response was immediate. "Get it, girl, but also be careful. Remember those articles. Don't let a pretty face make you forget to ask questions." Maya stared at her phone, Jada's warning echoing in her mind. She glanced at Jin, who was typing something on his own phone, his profile sharp and focused. What did she really know about this man? That he was wealthy, powerful, and according to the internet, possibly connected to something darker than legitimate business. But when he caught her looking and gave her that small, rare smile, Maya pushed her concerns aside. She was a grown woman who could handle herself. One dinner wouldn't hurt. She had no idea how wrong she was. Word count, 3,089 words. Part 2 of 7. Maya spent the next 4 hours alternating between excitement and anxiety. She changed clothes 3 more times before settling on a fitted burgundy dress that hit just above her knees, paired with heeled sandals and simple gold jewelry. The dress was elegant enough for a nice restaurant, but not so formal that she'd look like she was trying too hard. Jada had called twice, first to help her choose an outfit, then to deliver a stern lecture about staying alert and trusting her instincts. "I'm serious, Maya. Text me the name of the restaurant when you get there, and check in every hour. If you don't, I'm calling the police." "You're being dramatic," Maya said, but she appreciated her friend's concern. "Am I? You're going on a date with a man who showed up at your house at dawn like some kind of sexy stalker, who owns half of downtown, and who may or may not be involved in organized crime. Forgive me for wanting to make sure you don't end up in a dumpster." "He's not going to murder me over dinner, Jada." Famous last words. I'm watching a true crime documentary right now, and it always starts with "he seemed so nice." Maya laughed despite her nerves. "I promise I'll be careful, and I'll text you." At exactly 7 o'clock, her doorbell rang. Jin stood there in a different suit, this one charcoal gray with a black shirt underneath, no tie. He looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine spread. His dark eyes swept over her appreciatively. "You look beautiful," he said simply. "Thank you, you clean up pretty nice yourself." Maya grabbed her clutch and locked her door. This time, Jin opened the car door for her himself. Mr. Park wasn't driving tonight. Instead, Jin slid into the driver's seat of a sleek black Audi, and Maya caught a glimpse of the expensive leather interior. "I thought we'd have more privacy without a driver," Jin explained as he pulled away from the curb. "More comfortable for conversation." The restaurant was in a part of town Maya didn't visit often, a neighborhood that had been revitalized in recent years with upscale boutiques and trendy eateries. Jin pulled up to a building with Korean characters on a discreet sign and handed his keys to a valet. Inside, the atmosphere was intimate and elegant. Soft lighting, dark wood accents, and the subtle sound of traditional Korean music created an almost romantic ambience. The hostess greeted Jin by name, bowing slightly as she led them to a private booth in the back corner. "You come here often?" Maya asked as they settled into the plush seating. "I own it," Jin said casually, as if owning restaurants was just something everyone did. "Of course you do. What don't you own in this city?" His lips quirked. "Quite a lot actually, but I'm working on it." A server appeared with tea and menus, though Jin waved the menus away and spoke to the server in rapid Korean. The server nodded and disappeared. "I hope you don't mind. I took the liberty of ordering for us. The chef here is exceptional, and I wanted you to experience the best of what Korean cuisine has to offer." "As long as there's no live octopus, I'm good," Maya said, making Jin laugh, a genuine sound that transformed his usually serious face. "No live octopus, I promise, though if you ever want to try it, I know a place." "I'll pass, thanks. I like my food to stay still on the plate." They fell into easy conversation as the first dishes arrived. Jin asked about her family, how she'd gotten into marketing, what made her decide to start her own firm. Maya found herself opening up more than she'd expected, telling him about growing up in a small Georgia town, being the first in her family to graduate college, the struggles of building a business from scratch. "My mama thought I was crazy," Maya said, accepting a refill of tea from their attentive server. She wanted me to get a nice, stable corporate job with benefits and a 401k. Instead, I quit my agency position and started my own company with nothing but a laptop, a dream, and a lot of audacity. Audacity is underrated, Jin said. Most people who achieve anything significant started with more courage than capital. Is that how you built your empire? Courage and audacity? Jin's expression shifted, becoming more guarded. My path was different. My family's business has been established for generations. I inherited much of what I have, though I've certainly expanded it. What kind of business was your family in originally? Maya asked, remembering those vague news articles. Import and export primarily. My grandfather came to America from Korea in the 1960s with very little. He was ambitious, willing to do what was necessary to succeed. Jin paused, choosing his words carefully. Not all of his methods would be considered conventional by today's standards, but he built something lasting, something I'm now trying to evolve. There it was, that hint of something more beneath the surface. Maya should probably drop it, but her curiosity wouldn't let her. Evolve how? Jin met her gaze directly. My family's history is complicated, Maya. There are aspects of how business was conducted in the past that I'm working to change. I want everything I control to be completely legitimate, transparent. But the past has a way of clinging to you, no matter how hard you try to move forward. Before Maya could respond, the main courses arrived. The table filled with an array of dishes, perfectly grilled kalbi, spicy seafood stew, various banchan side dishes, and more. The aroma was incredible. This looks amazing, Maya said, grateful for the distraction from the heavy conversation. Jin seemed to relax as he showed her how to properly wrap the meat in lettuce leaves with rice and various accompaniments. Their fingers brushed as he handed her a perfectly assembled wrap, and Maya felt a spark of electricity at the contact. Try this, Jin said, his voice lower, more intimate. Maya took a bite and moaned appreciatively. Oh my God, that's incredible. Something flashed in Jin's eyes at the sound she'd made, and the air between them shifted again, charging with tension that had nothing to do with business or background checks. They ate and talked for over an hour, the conversation flowing naturally between serious topics and playful banter. Jin told her about his childhood in Seoul before his family moved to Atlanta, his education at prestigious universities, his love of architecture and art. Maya shared stories about her marketing disasters and triumphs, her dreams of expanding her firm nationally, her guilty pleasure for reality TV shows. You watch The Bachelor? Jin asked, incredulous. Don't judge me. It's mindless entertainment after a long day of strategic planning and client presentations. I'm not judging, I'm just surprised. You seem too smart for that. Smart people need brain breaks too. What do you do to relax, besides acquiring more real estate and restaurants? Jin considered the question. I practice kendo, Japanese sword fighting. It requires complete focus, which forces me to stop thinking about business for a while. That's actually really cool, and kind of hot, Maya said, then immediately wanted to take it back. The wine they'd been drinking was making her bolder than usual. But Jin didn't seem offended. If anything, he looked pleased. You think so? I mean, yeah, there's something attractive about a man who's disciplined and skilled at something. I could say the same about a woman who builds a successful business, from nothing through intelligence and determination. They were leaning closer now, the space between them in the booth shrinking. Maya could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtly spicy. Jin, she started, not sure what she was about to say. The moment was interrupted by Jin's phone buzzing insistently on the table. He glanced at the screen and his entire demeanor changed. His jaw tightened, and that guarded expression returned. Excuse me, I need to take this. He stood and walked toward the restaurant's entrance, speaking in rapid Korean to whoever was on the other end. Maya watched him through the window, nodding the tension in his shoulders, the sharp gestures of his free hand. Whatever the call was about, it wasn't good news. She took the opportunity to text Jada, at a Korean restaurant called Moonlight, still alive, actually having a really good time. Jada's response was immediate. That place is fancy. I looked it up. He's pulling out all the stops, girl. Just don't forget about those red flags. Maya put her phone away as Jin returned to the table, but his earlier warmth had been replaced by something cooler, more distant. Is everything okay? She asked. Yes, just a business matter that requires attention. He signaled for the check, though they hadn't even discussed dessert yet. I'm sorry, but I need to cut our evening short. I'll take you home. The drive back to Maya's apartment was quiet, the easy conversation from dinner replaced by an awkward silence. Jin seemed preoccupied, his hands tight on the steering wheel, his eyes constantly checking the mirrors. When they pulled up to her building, Maya turned to him. Did I do something wrong? What? Number Maya, this has nothing to do with you. I just have a situation I need to handle. Okay, well, thank you for dinner. It was really nice. Jin's expression softened slightly. It was. I'm sorry it ended abruptly. Can I see you again? Despite the strange ending, Maya found herself nodding. I'd like that. Good, I'll call you tomorrow. Jin got out and opened her door, walking her to her building's entrance. For a moment, she thought he might kiss her, and her heart raced at the possibility. But he just took her hand, brought it to his lips in an old-fashioned gesture that somehow felt more intimate than a kiss, and said good night. Maya watched him drive away, her hand still tingling where his lips had touched her skin. Inside her apartment, she immediately called Jada. So, how was it? Are you in love? Is he a secret mob boss? Tell me everything. Maya laughed, kicking off her heels and collapsing onto her couch. It was intense, good but intense. He's nothing like I expected. She recounted the evening, from the amazing food to the deep conversations to the abrupt ending. See, that's what worries me, Jada said. The mysterious phone call, the sudden need to leave. That's suspicious, Maya. Maybe, or maybe he really did just have a business emergency. CEOs have those. At 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. Maya didn't have an answer for that. She changed the subject, and they talked for another hour before hanging up. But as she got ready for bed, she couldn't stop thinking about Jin, about the contradictions she'd observed. The guarded businessman who turned warm and playful over dinner. The powerful CEO who seemed genuinely interested in her dreams and opinions. The man with a complicated past who was trying to build something better. She fell asleep, wondering what tomorrow would bring. The next morning, Maya woke to a text from Jin. Good morning, I hope you slept well. Are you free this afternoon? There's something I'd like to show you. Maya smiled at her phone. Good morning, I'm free afternoon. What did you have in mind? It's a surprise, I'll pick you up at 1. You're very mysterious, you know that. I prefer to think of it as intriguing. Maya sent back a laughing emoji and got out of bed. She spent the morning catching up on client work and emails, trying not to watch the clock. When 1 o'clock rolled around, she was ready, dressed casually in jeans and a soft sweater, her curls loose around her shoulders. Jin arrived exactly on time, and this time he was dressed down too, in dark jeans and a leather jacket over a white t-shirt. Maya had never seen him in anything but suits, and the casual look was doing things to her pulse rate. Where are we going? She asked as they got into his car. You'll see, it's about a 20-minute drive. They headed out of the city, and Maya watched the urban landscape give way to suburbs and then to more rural areas. Jin kept the conversation light, asking about her morning, telling her about a new property development he was considering. Finally, he turned down a long driveway that led to a beautiful piece of land overlooking a lake. There was a cleared area where a foundation had been laid, and architectural plans were spread out on a table under a temporary canopy. What is this? Maya asked as they got out of the car. My future home, Jin said, walking toward the canopy. I've been planning this for 3 years. The construction starts next month. He showed her the architectural renderings, a stunning modern design with floor-to-ceiling windows taking advantage of the lake view, clean lines, open spaces. It was beautiful and impressive, clearly designed for someone who valued both aesthetics and privacy. This is incredible, Jin, but why are you showing me? Jin turned to face her, his expression serious. Because I like you, Maya, more than I've liked anyone in a very long time, and I wanted you to know that I'm not just some mysterious businessman with a shady past. I'm a real person with dreams and plans for the future. This house represents that future, something I'm building for myself. Maya's heart swelled at his honesty. I like you too, even though I've only known you for 2 days, which is crazy. Is it? Sometimes connections happen quickly. My grandmother used to say that souls recognize each other. They stood there by the lake, the afternoon sun warm on their faces, and this time when Jin leaned in, Maya didn't pull away. Their kiss was soft at first, tentative, then deeper as Maya's hands found their way to his chest and his arms wrapped around her waist. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, Jin rested his forehead against hers. I need to be honest with you about something. Maya's stomach dropped. Here it came. The truth about his business, about his family, about whatever those news articles had hinted at. My family's history isn't just complicated. It's dangerous. My grandfather didn't just import and export legal goods. He was involved with people who operated outside the law. When my father took over, he tried to legitimize everything, but you can't just walk away from those kinds of connections. They follow you. Are you saying your family is part of organized crime? Maya asked directly. Was part of, Jin emphasized. I've spent the last 5 years severing every illegal tie, cleaning up every questionable operation. But there are people who don't want to let go, who see my family's organization as something they can still use. I deal with threats and pressure constantly. That call last night was a reminder of that reality. Maya stepped back, processing. Why are you telling me this? Because if we're going to continue seeing each other, you deserve to know what you're getting into. I won't lie to you or hide things from you, but I also can't promise that being associated with me is safe. There are people who would use you to get to me. The smart thing would be to walk away, to thank him for his honesty and go back to her safe, drama-free life. But as Maya looked at Jin, at the vulnerability in his expression, the genuine concern in his eyes, she couldn't make herself leave. I appreciate your honesty, she said carefully, but I need some time to think about this. Jin nodded, clearly disappointed but understanding. Of course, I'll take you home. The drive back was quiet again, but this time it felt different. Not awkward, but weighted with the significance of what had been shared. When they arrived at her apartment, Jin walked her to her door. Whatever you decide, Maya, I want you to know that meeting you has been the best thing to happen to me in years, even if this is where it ends. Maya surprised herself by standing on her toes and kissing his cheek. Give me a couple days. I just need to process everything. That evening, Maya sat with Jada at their favorite wine bar, recounting everything Jin had told her. So he's basically admitted his family was in the mob, Jada said, her eyes wide. Was past tense. He says he's cleaned everything up. And you believe him? Did she? Maya swirled her wine, thinking. I think I do, actually. He didn't have to tell me any of that. He could have kept me in the dark, let me find out gradually or never. The fact that he was upfront about it means something. It could also be a manipulation tactic. Tell you just enough truth to make you trust him. You're such a cynic. I'm a realist, and I'm your best friend, which means it's my job to make sure you don't do anything stupid, like fall for a reformed mob boss. He's not a mob boss. His grandfather was, maybe, allegedly. Jada gave her a look. Maya, honey, listen to yourself. You're already defending him. You're in deeper than you think. Maybe she was. Maya finished her wine and ordered another. What would you do if you were me? Jada was quiet for a moment, considering. Honestly, I'd probably do exactly what you're doing. He's gorgeous, successful, honest about his past, and clearly into you. But I'd also be smart about it. Set boundaries. Don't jump in too fast. And for God's sake, keep me informed of everything. Maya smiled. Deal. Over the next 2 days, Maya couldn't stop thinking about Jin. He'd texted her once, a simple good morning with no pressure, no demands for an answer. She appreciated the space he was giving her, but it also made her miss him more. She did her own research, digging deeper into Kim Enterprises and Jin's family history. What she found was complicated. Yes, there were old articles about Jin's grandfather and father, vague accusations, investigations that went nowhere. But there were also recent articles about Jin's charitable work, his investments in community development, his transparent business practices. He seemed to be genuinely trying to build something different from what his family had been. On the 3rd day, Maya made her decision. She texted Jin, "Can you come over tonight? I want to talk." His response came immediately, "I'll be there at 7. Maya spent the day nervous, second-guessing herself, wondering if she was making a huge mistake. But when Jin arrived that evening looking anxious and hopeful, she knew what she wanted to say. "Come in," she said, stepping aside to let him into her apartment. Jin looked around at her space for the first time, taking in the colorful artwork, the plants, the vision board above her desk covered with business goals and inspirational quotes. "Your home suits you," he said. "It's warm, creative." "Thanks, sit down. Can I get you something to drink? I have wine, water, tea." "I'm fine. Maya, you're making me nervous. Just tell me what you've decided." Maya sat down next to him on her couch, close enough that their knees almost touched. "I've decided that I want to see where this goes. You were honest with me about your past, about the risks. I appreciate that. And I think you're genuinely trying to be different from your family's history." Jin's expression transformed with relief. "You have no idea how happy that makes me." "But," Maya continued, holding up a hand, "I have conditions. I need you to keep being honest with me. No secrets, no protecting me by keeping me in the dark. If something dangerous is happening, I need to know. I can't make informed decisions if I don't have all the information." "I can do that. And we take this slow. I'm not rushing into anything. We date, we get to know each other properly, we see if this is real or just intense chemistry." Jin smiled, that rare, genuine smile that made him look years younger. Also reasonable, though for the record I already know it's real. "You can't possibly know that. We barely know each other. I know that I think about you constantly. I know that when I'm with you, I feel like I can be myself instead of the role everyone expects me to play. I know that you're smart and funny and ambitious and beautiful, and that you're not impressed by my money or intimidated by my reputation. That's rare, Maya. That's real." Maya felt her resolve weakening. "You're very smooth, you know that." "I'm honest, there's a difference." Jin reached out and tucked a curl behind her ear, his fingers lingering on her cheek. "Can I kiss you?" "I thought you'd never ask." This kiss was different from the one by the lake. More confident, more intense, filled with the relief of Maya's decision and the promise of what might come. Jin's hands were in her hair, and Maya found herself pressed against him, her fingers gripping his shirt. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jin rested his forehead against hers. "I should probably go before we move faster than your taking it slow condition." Maya laughed breathlessly. "Probably a good idea." At her door, Jin kissed her once more, soft and sweet. "Have dinner with me tomorrow. I promise no business emergencies this time." "You can't promise that." "Then I promise that unless someone is literally dying, I won't leave early." "Deal." After Jin left, Maya floated around her apartment in a happy daze. She called Jada to update her, enduring her friends teasing about being digmatized before even sleeping with him. "It's not like that, we're taking it slow." "Ma'am, sure you are. I give it a week before you're completely gone for this man." Maya laughed, but privately she thought Jada might be right. She was already falling, and she wasn't sure she wanted to stop. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Jin took Maya to restaurants, art galleries, concerts. They spent hours talking, learning each other's quirks and histories. Jin showed her the softer side he kept hidden from the world, the man who loved old movies and could cook surprisingly well and got excited about architecture like other people got excited about sports. Maya introduced him to her world too, bringing him to a local poetry slam, teaching him about the Atlanta music scene, dragging him to brunch with Jada, who interrogated him mercilessly before declaring him acceptable. "But I'm watching you." They still hadn't slept together, though the tension was building every time they were alone. Maya was determined to stick to her take it slow rule, and Jin respected that, even when it was clearly killing him. Maya also signed the lease on her new office space, and Jin insisted on helping her move in, showing up in jeans and a t-shirt, ready to carry boxes and assemble furniture. Seeing him sweaty and casual, laughing with her small team as they argued about where to put the conference table, made Maya's heart squeeze. Everything felt perfect, too perfect. She should have known it wouldn't last. It was a Tuesday evening, and Maya was working late at her new office, finalizing a pitch presentation for a potential major client. Her team had left hours ago, but she was too wired to stop. The presentation was for a Fortune 500 company, and landing them would take her firm to the next level. She was so focused on her work that she didn't hear the office door open, didn't notice she wasn't alone until a voice behind her said, "Working late, Ms. Thompson." Maya spun around, her heart leaping into her throat. A man stood in her doorway, Asian, probably in his 40s, wearing an expensive suit. Behind him were two larger men, clearly muscle. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" Maya's hand moved toward her phone, but one of the large men was suddenly beside her desk, his hand covering hers before she could grab it. "My name is Takeshi Yamamoto," the first man said, walking further into her office with the confidence of someone who owned the space. "I'm an associate of Jin Kim's, or perhaps former associate is more accurate." Maya's blood ran cold. "What do you want?" "To send Mr. Kim a message. He's been very difficult lately, refusing to honor old agreements, cutting ties that should not be cut. I thought perhaps a reminder of what happens when you forget your obligations might motivate him to reconsider." "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just his tenant." Takeshi smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Please, Ms. Thompson, we've been watching Jin for weeks. We know you're much more than his tenant. You're his weakness, and weaknesses can be exploited." The man holding her phone yanked the cord from the wall, disconnecting her desk phone as well. Maya's mind raced, trying to remember the self-defense class she'd taken years ago, calculating her chances of making it to the door. "I'm going to give you my phone," Takeshi said, pulling out a cell phone. "And you're going to call Jin. You're going to tell him that you're in trouble and he needs to come alone to the address I give you. If he brings anyone else, if he calls the police, you'll regret it. Do you understand?" Maya's hands were shaking, but she forced herself to stay calm. "And if I refuse?" Takeshi's smile widened. "Then my associates here will convince you. And trust me, Ms. Thompson, you don't want that. Jin cares about you. He'll come. Make the call." He held out the phone, and Maya had no choice but to take it. Her mind was screaming, trying to think of a way out, a way to warn Jin that this was a trap. But with two large men watching her every move, she couldn't see one. Takeshi dialed Jin's number and put the phone on speaker. Jin answered on the second ring, his voice warm. "Maya, I was just thinking about you. I found this great sushi place for our date tomorrow." "Jin," Maya's voice cracked despite her efforts to stay calm. "I need help. I'm at my office and there are men here. They want. One of the large men grabbed the phone before she could finish. She took it, his voice smooth and pleasant. Good evening, Jin. I believe we have something you value. If you want to see Ms. Thompson again unharmed, you'll come to the address I'm about to text you. Alone. No police, no backup, no heroes, just you. You have 1 hour. He hung up before Jin could respond. Good girl, she said to Maya. Now let's take a ride. They forced her out of the office, down the back stairs to avoid security cameras. A black van waited in the alley behind the building. Maya's mind was spinning with fear and regret. She should have listened to Jada's warnings. She should have known that getting involved with Jin would lead to something like this. The van ride took about 20 minutes, ending at what looked like an abandoned warehouse near the industrial district. They pushed her inside, and Maya saw it was set up like some kind of meeting space, with chairs and tables, but everything covered in dust and neglect. She had her sit in a chair in the middle of the empty space. He didn't tie her up, but the 2 large men stood behind her, hands on her shoulders, making it clear she wasn't going anywhere. Now we wait, she said, checking his watch. Jin is always punctual. It's one of his more predictable qualities. Why are you doing this? Maya asked, trying to keep her voice steady. What do you want from him? Jin's family controlled certain operations in this city for decades, operations that were very profitable. When Jin decided to go legitimate, he thought he could just walk away from those obligations. But business doesn't work that way. There are contracts, agreements, arrangements that can't simply be dissolved because one man has a conscience. So this is about money. It's about respect, about understanding your place in the order of things. Jin forgot his place. This is a reminder. Maya's phone buzzed in Takeshi's pocket. He pulled it out, read the message, and smiled. He's here, right on time. The warehouse door opened, and Jin walked in alone, his face a mask of cold fury. But when his eyes found Maya, relief flashed across his features before the ice returned. Let her go, Takeshi. This is between us. Of course it is. Ms. Thompson is simply motivation. Sit down, Jin. We have much to discuss. Jin moved carefully toward the chair Takeshi indicated, his eyes never leaving Maya. She tried to communicate with her expression that she was okay, that she wasn't hurt, but she could see the tension in every line of his body. You made a mistake taking her, Jin said quietly, his voice deadly calm. Whatever you wanted to talk about, you could have called me directly. Would you have come? Would you have listened? Or would you have sent your Mr. Park and his associates to remove me from your city, as you've been threatening to do? That depends on what you have to say. Takeshi walked around the space, his hands clasped behind his back like a professor giving a lecture. Your grandfather understood the value of partnership. Your father, though weaker, maintained those partnerships out of necessity. But you, Jin, you think you can simply walk away, legitimize your empire and pretend the foundation it was built on never existed. I've paid every debt my family owed. I've dissolved every illegal operation. I owe you nothing. You owe us loyalty. You owe us the same cooperation your family has provided for 50 years. Jin's jaw tightened. My family's cooperation nearly destroyed everything we built. I won't go back to that. Then perhaps Ms. Thompson pays the price for your stubbornness. Takeshi nodded to one of his men, who grabbed Maya's arm roughly, pulling her to her feet. Jin was on his feet instantly. Touch her again and I'll end you, all of you. The warehouse suddenly felt charged with violence. Maya could see Jin transforming before her eyes into someone she didn't recognize, someone dangerous and cold. This was the man his family had raised, the man he'd been trying to leave behind. Empty threats, Takeshi said, but he looked less certain now. Are they? You know my reputation, Takeshi. You know what I'm capable of when someone threatens what's mine. Let her go. A phone rang, breaking the tension. One of the large men answered it, his face paling as he listened. He spoke rapidly in Japanese to Takeshi, whose expression shifted from confident to uncertain to angry. "What is it?" Jin asked, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. "It seems your Mr. Park is less loyal to your no backup instruction than we anticipated," Takeshi said tightly. "He's outside with a rather impressive show of force." Jin smiled, and it was nothing like the warm smiles Maya had seen from him. This smile was sharp and dangerous. "Did you really think I'd come alone to meet with you? I may want to go legitimate, but I'm not stupid." "You were told." "I don't take orders from you. Now you have two choices. Let Maya go, leave Atlanta, and never contact me or anyone associated with me again. Or deal with Mr. Park and the consequences of kidnapping and threatening an innocent woman." Takeshi stared at Jin for a long moment, clearly calculating his options. Finally, he nodded to his men. "Release her." The man holding Maya let go, and she stumbled forward. Jin caught her, pulling her against his chest, his arms wrapping around her protectively. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly, his hand cupping her face. "I'm okay, scared but okay." "I'm so sorry, this never should have happened." Takeshi and his men were backing toward another exit. "This isn't over, Jin." "Yes, it is. If I see you or any of your associates in my city again, I won't be so merciful. That's not a threat, it's a promise." After they left, Mr. Park and several other men entered through the main door. Mr. Park rushed to Jin, speaking rapidly in Korean. Jin responded in the same language, his tone sharp and commanding. Then he turned back to Maya, his expression softening. "Let's get you out of here." In the car, with Mr. Park driving and one of Jin's security team in the passenger seat, Maya finally let herself shake. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving her exhausted and overwhelmed. Jin pulled her close, his arm around her shoulders. "I'm taking you to my place," he said. "It's more secure than your apartment, we'll have guards posted, you'll be safe." "Jin, what the hell just happened? Who was that man? What did he mean about old agreements and partnerships?" Jin was quiet for a moment, then said, "I'll tell you everything, but let's wait until we're somewhere private." They drove to a high-rise building in the heart of downtown. Jin's penthouse took up the entire top floor, and it was stunning, all modern design and expensive furnishings with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. But Maya barely noticed. She was too focused on Jin, who was packing the living room, running his hands through his hair in frustration. "I thought I'd handled this," he muttered. "I thought I'd severed all those ties." "Jin, sit down, tell me everything." He finally stopped packing and sat beside her on the leather couch. "My grandfather wasn't just in import-export. He ran a Korean organized crime syndicate. Gambling, protection, smuggling, everything you'd expect. My father inherited it and tried to make it more legitimate, but he was weak, and the old guard took advantage. When I took over 5 years ago, I made it my mission to clean everything up." "But some people didn't want you to." "No, people like Takeshi had profitable arrangements with my family. They see my attempts at legitimacy as betrayal. I've been slowly forcing them out, buying out their interests, threatening legal action if they don't cooperate. Most have taken the money and left, but a few, like Takeshi, are more stubborn." Maya processed this, her hands trembling. So tonight was what? A warning, a negotiation tactic. "Both. He wanted to show me that he could get to me through you, that I'm not as protected as I think I am." Jin took her hands, his grip warm and steady. "Maya, I never wanted you involved in this. I knew there was still some danger, but I thought I had it under control. I was wrong, and I'm so sorry. You saved me, you and Mr. Park. I also put you in danger in the first place. By being with you, I made you a target." Jin's voice cracked slightly. "You should walk away, right now, before this gets worse." Maya looked at him, at the guilt and fear in his eyes, and made her decision. "No." "Maya." No, I'm not walking away. Yes, tonight was terrifying. Yes, I'm still shaking. But you were honest with me from the start. You warned me this could happen, and you protected me when it did. She squeezed his hands. I'm choosing to stay, but I need you to promise me something. Anything. Promise me this is almost over. That take-she was one of the last loose ends. Because I can't do this if it's going to be constant danger and threats. It's almost over, I swear. Take-she was the last major holdout. With him gone from the city, the rest will fall in line or leave. Give me 6 months, maybe less, and I'll have everything completely clean. Okay, 6 months. I can do 6 months. Jin pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. You're incredible. You know that. Most people would run. I'm not most people. They stayed like that for a long time, drawing comfort from each other. Eventually, Jin showed her to the guest room, though he looked reluctant to let her out of his sight. Try to get some sleep, he said at the door. I'll be right down the hall if you need anything, and there are guards posted on this floor and at all the entrances. Jin, Maya called as he turned to leave. Yeah. I meant what I said. I'm not going anywhere. His smile was soft and grateful. Good night, Maya. Alone in the guest room, Maya finally let herself process everything. She'd been kidnapped, threatened, used as leverage in some kind of criminal power play. It was insane. It was dangerous. It should have her running for the hills. But all she could think about was the look on Jin's face when he'd walked into that warehouse. The cold fury that had transformed into relief when he'd seen she was okay. The way he'd held her afterward, like she was precious and breakable. Maya pulled out her phone and texted Jada. I'm okay. Something happened, but I'm safe. I'll explain tomorrow. Don't worry. Jada's response was immediate. Girl, what? Call me right now. Maya smiled and called. She owed her friend an explanation, and besides, she was too wired to sleep anyway. Maya Thompson, you have exactly 1 minute to explain why you just gave me a heart attack, Jada answered. Maya took a deep breath. So, remember how you said dating Jin might be dangerous? Oh my God, what happened? Maya told her everything, from take-she appearing in her office to the warehouse confrontation to currently being in Jin's penthouse with armed guards posted outside. Jada listened without interrupting, which was impressive for her. When Maya finished, there was a long silence. Then Jada said, You're staying with him, after all that. I am. Why, Maya, this is exactly the kind of dangerous situation I was worried about. I know, but Jada, you should have seen him tonight. The way he looked when he saw I was okay. The way he was willing to do anything to protect me. That's real. What we have is real. Another silence, then Jada sighed, You're in love with him. What? No, it's too soon to be in love. Maya, honey, you were kidnapped by the Korean mob tonight, and instead of running away screaming, you're defending your relationship and staying at his place. That's love. Or at the very least, you're halfway there. Maya thought about that. Was she in love? Could you fall in love with someone in just a few weeks? But then she thought about how Jin made her laugh, how he listened when she talked about her dreams, how he looked at her like she was the most fascinating person in the world. Maybe, she admitted softly, maybe I am. Then I hope he's worth it. And I hope his 6-month timeline for cleaning everything up is accurate, because I can't handle losing my best friend to mob violence. You're not going to lose me, I promise. They talked for another hour before hanging up. Maya tried to sleep, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw take-she's cold smile or felt the grip of his associate's hands on her shoulders. Finally, around 3 in the morning, she gave up and padded down the hall to Jin's room. She knocked softly, and he opened the door immediately, still fully dressed. He clearly hadn't been sleeping either. Can't sleep, he asked. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back in that warehouse. Jin pulled her inside, closing the door behind them. His room was as modern and expensive as the rest of the penthouse, but Maya barely noticed. She just needed to be near him to feel safe. "Stay with me," Jin said. "Just to sleep, I'll keep you safe." They lay down on his massive bed, and Jin wrapped his arms around her from behind, his body warm and solid against hers. Maya finally felt herself relax, the tension leaving her muscles. "Thank you," she whispered, "for saving me." "Always," Jin murmured into her hair. "I'll always protect you, Maya, no matter what." And surrounded by his warmth, with the sound of his steady breathing in her ear, Maya finally fell asleep. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for more captivating stories, and comment below what you'd like to see next. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more content like this. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.